of the agenda. It says approval of the agenda for the April 15th meeting.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
Why would we approve something we've already?
this should be the May 20th meeting. Let's make that change.
Good catch.
Hmm?
Good catch.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, what?
And the next one will need to be corrected as well. Anybody have any concerns about the proposed agenda? All right,
Well, this said that for minutes for March 18th and the meeting was actually on the 13th.
right. Well, let's finish the agenda and then we'll deal with the March 18th being
Oh.
wrong as well. So approval of the agenda for the May 20th meeting. Does anyone make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I move that we approve the agenda for the May 20th meeting being held currently.
And I will second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
all opposed, same sign. All right. And we will move on to approval of the minutes for the April 15th, 2025 meeting. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes for the April, with the correction of April 15th, 2025.
I second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
I need to give more time. All opposed, same sign. All right. Okay, so next we have public agenda. So on the schedule, we have Mary Dean.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just here. I don't have anything to add about the revised ordinance. I submitted everything that was asked for the revisions concerned. And that's all I have.
All right. All right, anyone here who would like to speak from the public off agenda who is not scheduled to speak? Seeing none, we will move on. All right. On new business, we have update on strategic plan direction. So, did you want to give an update on that, or do you want me to like?
I can.
Okay.
So the video is finished. I want to thank.
Do we have a copy?
We do.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody who participated.
Did we do okay?
You guys did wonderful.
Hi, I'm Ian Demery.
I'm Sarah Billy.
I'm Lamont Anderson.
I'm Art Allen, and I serve on the Diversity, Inclusion, and Civil Rights Advisory Board, or DICRAF.
The purpose of DICRAF is to nurture organizational development to create a culture that values intrinsic diversity, civil rights, and inclusion in services, programs, and policies.
Part of the DICRAF's strategic plan is to deliver an internal survey to assess employee perception of the current organizational culture surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies.
The survey contains 20 questions and 5 open-ended questions to gauge your perceptions of our city's diversity initiatives and help us identify opportunities for improvement.
The survey is anonymous, and none of the answers are individually identifiable.
We hope that you will take this survey and help us in efforts to ensure that the city of Wichita, as an employer, is continuing to foster the culture that values diversity and inclusion.
Great job.
Good job.
Guys.
Good job. Yes, here, I need your autograph.
So that's the video that's going to accompany the survey.
Good.
So I wanted to play that first because that's the good news.
Oh,
no.
Right now, the survey is with our law department. And the reason for that is, so this board is designed to advise the mayor and the council on initiatives. However, once a step is taken that implicates and impacts employees, that starts getting into the city manager's purview. So the city manager asked legal to take a look at the survey just to make sure that it would not run afoul of any of the current executive orders regarding DEI. So it's not dead. It's just one more thing to get over. But the nice thing is, because the video's done and the survey's done, if legal says we're good to go, then, you know, we can send it out.
And we've done
So,
what we need to do.
that's kind of where I am with it. You know, we've done everything I think we can do. The rest is just kind of out of our hands because of kind of the current political climate. So, I will keep everybody updated on that. If and when I hear back from legal, and in the city manager's office on, what they want to do. So. We're closer. I mean,
It's
it's
what it is.
right.
It's government in general, but move forward and then so many steps back.
But I was very happy with how the video turned out. I think, again, thank you to everybody who came by and, you know, participated. And a big thank you to the city's communication department for doing the editing and getting all of that done.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Mike on that? All right. Then our next item on the agenda will be the board agenda. At last month's meeting, we just determined that we would go ahead and take up the reparations ordinance and make a decision on what the board's recommendation is going to be. Just for a quick recap, the city council member Brandon Johnson requested this board review the reparations ordinance and make a recommendation as to whether or not the city council should consider the ordinance. So really, we kind of have three options as I see it, and if anybody has any other ideas, please by all means speak up. But the board can recommend that the city council take up the ordinance. The board can recommend that the council not take up the ordinance. The board could also recommend that the council take up the ordinance with some, if we have concerns or changes we would propose. Those are kind of our options as I see them. If anybody has any other options that are on the board that I haven't thought of, please speak up. But at this point, I want to open it up to the board for discussion as to where people think, what direction the board should take.
I think that, and I'll reiterate my position that I've stated since the beginning. I support citizens engaging their elected officials. I support Ms. Dean's efforts in the petition that she has set forth for it to go before city council. I don't deem that it is within my scope or purview to determine in this particular case what the council should not have set before them, given the citizen engagement piece of that. So in terms of a recommendation, I believe that it should go forth to be viewed by the council. I'm not taking a position of in support of or against of, but I do believe that it should be presented by the elected body in government.
I agree with you for sure. I think that the idea of, there are citizens in our city that are not being treated the same as other citizens for whatever reason, be it health or, you know, whatever. That's a problem and it needs to be looked at. That is not okay. So I agree with you. The specifics of this proposal, I do have two concerns after reading it. And I'm not sure if this is something to address, or is this something that I'm just being nitpicky about or whatever, but I don't want it to be an issue, and I think it might be an issue of who is on this committee when the city council will have a minority of appointments to the council, to this committee. That might be an issue. So I don't know if that's something we need to address. I'm also concerned about the funding because it doesn't specify who's applying for these grants. What happens if we don't get the grants, things like that. So I don't know, again, if I'm being nitpicky or if these are, because those are my two concerns when I read this.
I would,
I would echo those concerns, especially the makeup of the board. And then the other thing that even more on the funding is there's no actual number that's being asked for either. So I think that's going to be hard for it's hard for me as a taxpayer to ask the city council to approve an ordinance with, I guess, an unlimited number, or the council would be responsible for putting that number on it. But those are my two big concerns.
And so if anybody else, please feel free to jump in. But so what my perspective is that Ms. Dean has submitted what she determines to be her final manuscript. For me, at that particular point in time, I have no more recommendations in terms of this goes before the city council, then it is in their purview to begin to make their deliberations and their decisions on how they want to go forward. If there are pieces and components within this ordinance that Ms. Dean has said is her final, and they don't take it up or they reject it based upon the premise of this final document, that's out of my scope at that particular point to try to drill down and get a perfection for the city council. I support Mrs. Dean's efforts in terms of what she has crafted. I support what she has established as her final. To me, then at that point, it is now in the jurisdiction of the city council to determine what direction they want to go, whether they take it up, whether they ask for amendments, or whether they just say that it's not something that's within their scope.
And I would make the argument that as an appointed advisor on this committee, it is our job to bring up those things that we see as issues with the ordinance.
Then I think that is something that should have been taken up before we came to the final call. Because
Well, I don't disagree with you. I don't support the ordinance as it's written.
I think it's.
Those things have been brought up, and I'm saying I don't support the ordinance as it is written, and I would not be supportive as an advisor to my member of the city council putting me on this board. My advice would be not to pass it as written.
so just to, to just reiterate, what was requested of us is to whether or not we recommend the council take this up, was my understanding. Is that a fair assessment, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so we were not asked to take up whether we think the council should pass this. We can. We can also say we think they should consider it, but we don't think they should pass it. We can take up all of those stances. So Lamont has given us his position that he believes, because if I'm not speaking fairly, please correct me. But because you support citizen-led initiatives and you believe that everything that has been requested to bring forward to the council should be considered by them, no matter what the content is, you believe the council should take this up. Is that fair?
I believe that she has walked through the required steps of what is asked. She has determined this is her final document. At that particular stage of the game, I am not going to be a roadblock in terms of her engagement. This is her final component. Now it is for that elected body to, it's not my position and my job to try to think for them. She has crafted a document that has been in alignment working with this board and working with legal. She has a document that has taken her much further than where she started. We have done, in my opinion, what we have been tasked to do. And now, from my perspective, I am prepared to give this to the city council so that they can make their renderings and do what they would do in charge of their duty and diction as an elected body.
Okay. All right, so is there any more discussion from the board?
This has been vetted by this legal's already vetted this. So I understand your concerns but those concerns were already raised, correct?
No,
They were
Legal
raised, but not
didn't-
necessarily changed.
No, legal
Right, I'm
didn't
not
vet
saying they
it.
changed them,
They
but
didn't-
legal
they
did.
They
legal
didn't
did go
vet
through
it,
this
they helped with the
document.
language,
Okay.
but they didn't vet it in the sense that it's approved to move forward. It's for us to do that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that legal did review it, correct?
Mhm.
It's been reviewed. And so what are we gonna hold it up for? What are we gonna, what purpose will it serve for us to continue to just toss those same questions back and forth?
Mhm.
That's what
The
I'm
legal department did bring up these issues and they weren't fixed.
Right, so what, at this point then, as the board, we just have to decide what the action we're gonna take is. Lamont, you've given your take. Josh, you've certainly given yours, and thank you for that. Is there anybody else who would like to offer a different perspective or a different point of discussion? And if not, then we are probably need to start having some motions made. And I would ask that as you give the motions, I'm going to type them out here so that we can read them back and make sure that everyone understands what's being voted on, that all the wording is the way we want it before we call a vote. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
All right, okay. So if you're going to make a motion, please do so slowly so I can keep typing. Appreciate that.
I do just want to make one quick comment.
Yeah.
Even though legal did make those recommendations, it's not for us to say that she has to take those recommendations and make them. If this is her final document, this is her final document. I don't feel like we as a board should bully a citizen to change
Mhm.
their information if they're standing on what they have presented to us.
And that was not my,
I agree.
inclination in trying to raise these issues. My perspective is that I just want to make sure because we have been appointed to be advisories, we're on an advisory board. And so when we bring this before the city council, I want to be what we want to say. We agree that this should be considered. We have these concerns, or we agree this should be considered. Nothing else to say, or we don't. I just feel like we want to make sure that we're doing our jobs on the board, not just bet it or don't.
Understood.
I mean, the district advisory boards, you don't get it past them without approving it. I mean, we can't just pass it through on the DAB, on the DABs. It's the same thing.
Well, I
So,
mean, I think that we can, if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, we can send it to them and say, look at this. However, we have these concerns with it or
Absolutely, we
whatever.
can do that
So
if
we
we
can
want
say that, but we think you still need to take this into consideration seriously. Right?
that
Yeah.
absolutely is within the purview of the board. Yes.
So it's not just a yes or no thing.
Mhm.
Have a hand raised.
Oh, do we have a raised hand? Carrie?
Hi there.
Sorry.
Hi. So I just want to make it clear, like regarding this determination and any formal vote relative to this. So, ordinance review is but a rare portion of our service to this board. So that's first and foremost. That's why I didn't anticipate having a conflict when I joined. But I will say that considering the ordinance is not in its final form, it appears more like an ordinance concept than it's not in a legal ordinance language yet. It references no statutes or city code, anything of that nature. It's not final yet. Legal will draft an ordinance that will become, the document that the council will consider. So it's still got a lot of unknowns for me. And if the final draft does designate adequate funding to support study of Wichita Black health disparities, there is a potential that my organization could weigh in. And actually, I personally could be in a position where I'm lobbying one way or the other to city councils. That's part of my day job. So the experts also, in reviewing the language, it calls for appointing experts in the field. And the experts appointed could very well include my employer who is a national and local expert on heart and stroke health, including publishing science and research relative to health disparities, including Black health and Black maternal health. So due to all of that, the above that I shared, I'm going to be abstaining from a vote this evening. So I thought I would make that clear.
All right, thank you for letting us know, Carrie, and thank you for taking the high road. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments online? Okay. All right, so if there's no other discussion, I guess we're at a point of putting forward how we would like any proposed votes on this. Ate my brain. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a statement just because I feel like we're sitting here in silence and I don't find that's okay. No, it's fine. No, I was just waiting, but I will just say that I have struggled with this tremendously over the months that we have considered this for many reasons, because I believe that the issues that Mary has brought forward are valid and that these are issues that have been, I mean, let's just look at the 29th and Grove neighborhood, the issues going on there. The fact that we just finally got enough money to test, to just start testing, let alone start dealing with what's going on. I am, however, very concerned in today's political environment of the effects of pushing something like this forward. I don't know if that will potentially jeopardize city funding at the federal level. And that's something we do have to take into consideration. I'm also concerned about funding. A lot of the federal grants that were in place when this process started are no longer in place. And I just don't know where that leaves funding this. So I will just say I sit here conflicted. I do 100% agree with Lamont. I am a huge advocate. I mean, what is all over everything I've got with me today? Elections, vote. I always think things should be taken before the proper channels. And I do agree with you. Ms. Dean has done her homework and she has done that. I just do have, I obviously I've stated I have some concerns about the wording. But that's just where I'm at.
And I think that probably my first or second meeting, I exhibited concerns in terms of the cultural impact of the city. I also exhibit my concerns about potential long-term funding in those capacities, but that's just my short list. But again, just where I sit, for me, this isn't a vote of whether I agree or I disagree with the premise of what has been stated. In terms of, I'm checking the boxes in terms of Ms. Dean has went a couple times before council. She's come before this board. She has worked with the channels in which she has been required or requested to work with. She has done that. She has established this particular document. It was requested if this was her final rendering, which she has said was yes. I agree with the sentiment of trying to strong arm. I don't want to strong arm Ms. Dean into trying to craft her document in the way that I think that it should be. Because that's not my scope. That's not my job. That's not my premise. She sees things differently than what I do. So I come back to the foundational component of civic and engagement. She's done what she's asked. So I support now whether the city council approves or they disapprove. That's not on my scope, but I support your right to have your document for their consideration.
So here's just a thought that's just come to me as we're sitting here talking. So a possible solution that we could come up with is we take a vote, yay or nay, whether or not we believe the council should take this up. And as part of that, each member of the board is given the opportunity to submit like a paragraph of explanation for their vote with what we give to the council. So if you have concerns, you could say, here's my concerns. I said, I think the council should take this up, but here's my concerns, or I don't think the council should take this up, and this is why. And therefore each of us have our voices heard, but they still get
I
the
disagree.
recommendation. Okay,
I disagree. I think we need to take a vote, yay or nay, and it doesn't need to be personal.
okay, that's
So,
fine.
you know, I mean, I've spoken with my representative, I've spoken with other representatives on the council. I'm also concerned, since I now have the floor, concerned that the trajectory, as you said, the tone in the country. But I also look at the statement from Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, which on Friday, he pulled all of funding and proceeding with reparations commission that had been voted on by the Maryland House and Senate, and he was supposed to sign it, and he pulled it. That was for Maryland. And this is his statement from last Friday. So he completely put the kibosh on it for the whole state of Maryland. So if that's where we're headed, and we already know the city doesn't have funding for many things that we've already seen them pulling funding for, I think it's just not gonna go anywhere. It's just not gonna go anywhere. And so what we were charged to do is to review it for them. That's why they sent it to us. That's why we're here. But it's not the only thing we're supposed to be doing here, as we've already been working on. So for those reasons, I would say we should stop the discussion at this point until something changes in some way that we're charged differently. But I don't think we should be, we've already spent a lot of time on this.
Any other discussion?
So Madam Chair, if I'm following protocol and procedure, I would like to call the question.
Okay,
And I would like to make the motion that Mrs. Dean's final rendering of her reparations document be given to the city council for their review and overview of the applicable document.
A second.
so just to make sure I am recording this correctly, your recommendation is that the council take it up without a recommendation endorsing or opposing from this board.
That is affirmative. I am simply making the recommendation that this document passes out of this board and it goes to the desk of those 7 individuals, and then those 7 individuals as a body determine what they want to do with this document moving forward.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion about that before I call the vote? Is there a hand up? That is Corey right there.
Oh, I said, say, who's up there? Who's still left? We don't see who's up there.
Can we see if there are any comments online before? You might want to use the mouse pad.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
Oh,
There we go. There's something in the chat there. Not sure.
Maybe that's the video.
I think that was the video. Yeah, I think that comment was for the video. Yeah, okay. All right, so does anybody online have anything they would like to add before we actually take the vote on the motion made by Lamont and seconded? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I,
Okay, so we're missing some votes. Right now it's, I didn't hear your vote. Are you just abstaining from this one?
One of my biggest concerns, actually, I do have some concerns, but I'm also running off of fumes from driving all the way from Reno this past couple of days. But also, one of my biggest concerns is this goes in front of city council and we have a debacle like we did with the proclamation. And I have seen way too much division and not enough people looking at the big picture of things. And that's not just for city council, but I'm talking about this board as well. What I feel, but this is also a personal thing, is that presentations of things, recommendations, that's what they are. They're recommendations. It doesn't mean we have to go with it. Doesn't mean everybody has to say yay, nay. It means take a look. This is what we think is the best course of action. This is something we've been looking at for how long now?
About a year, I would say, in various forms.
This is something that we have discussed publicly and privately. This is something that I feel is once again with my concerns of like when working with the strategic plan, just going around in circles, and it's really started to frustrate a lot more than it was before. I know Ms. Dean has put in a lot of work with this. I also know that a lot of people are not making any kinds of decisions and looking at things until the day of. Trust me, folks, I'm in teacher mode right now. And if we keep going that route, we're just gonna keep on having these same arguments, these same questions, these same concerns, each and every meeting. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. Once again, my time is short. My time is almost done. I want to be sure I walk out of here with something accomplished. Whether or not it's just something going forward and saying, hey, we actually did our damn jobs for once. Which is to take a look at something and say yay or nay, because that is our recommendation, or that's our role. But if that's gonna be the sort of thing that's gonna be around and around and around again, then why did we even take it up in the first place?
Okay, so I'm gonna come back to the.
So with that being said, because of the fact that we have been doing our job, which is to go over this, which is to discuss, which is to research, which is to all this, we've come to many, many, many decisions. Our job, I feel, has been accomplished. And I feel it's time for us to move forward. So with that being said, I was going to abstain. I'm ready to just say, let the city council take that, which is what they want us to do, to look at this. We did, correct?
Mhm.
Everybody correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've looked at
I
it.
mean, we looked at it,
That's all I'm asking. Did we do that?
but
Yes.
that's not what we're charged to do.
What we are charged to do was to review, was to discuss, was to make a recommendation, which we did with this group, which we did to Ms. Dean. Legal took over, made recommendations for us, but we didn't fully, whatever, because of reasons of going around and around again. I feel it's time for the city council to do their job. So let them do that. Whatever they vote, hey, we did what we were tasked to do, which was to review this and to work on it. Now it's city council's job. So we can go on to our next step.
All right, Ian, I've recorded you as a yes. Do we have any votes? I think we had one no online, is that correct? Jessica, have you?
I'm a
I
yes.
guess You're a yes, okay. All right, so at this point, we had two no's, I think one abstention. So this board has voted to pass the ordinance to the council without taking a position on whether we endorse the ordinance or not, but we do believe that the council should consider the ordinance. That is the will of the board. All right.
3 to 2 to 1.
What
It
was
was
your-
4.
Okay.
Mine is a yes, because I always believe that it should go through the council, because that is the proper form of government. So it's 5 to 2 to 1.
Shelley, what was your vote?
Pardon me?
I did not vote.
Yeah, so 5 to 2 to 2. All right, so our next order of business is that we, as a board, have a seat on the Sustainability Advisory Board. And we had a couple of months ago elected Jessica to that position, but her term expired because she was fulfilling an unexpired term, is the correct terminology. So now we need to open that up for nominations of anybody who might be interested in being on the Sustainability Board. So if anybody would like to put their name forward to be on the board, we would like to take those nominations and vote on a member to send back to the board. Anybody interested in being on that board?
Can you explain what it is real quick?
Okay, Jessica, since you were on the board, can you explain it? Because you're gonna do a better job than me.
Sure.
Thank you.
The Sustainability Integration Board was established a couple of years ago after many times going to city council meetings, asking for this board. So the board collaborates with the city, schools, residents, business partners, to advance the city's environmental goals and integrating sustainability into our city. I mean, so just like how we have a master plan here, we have a similar
Strategic plan.
yeah, strategic plan. Yeah.
And just so that I know for all of us here, are you interested in continuing on that board, or do you not want to continue?
Yes, I am. And we did not meet last month.
Okay. Is anyone else interested in serving on that board? Don't everybody jump at it.
So do I need to move that she is appointed?
Yeah, if we don't have any other nominations, then I will call the vote on appointing Jessica as our representative to the Sustainability Board. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Well, that one we got unanimous, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right, next item up for business is community action and public engagement efforts. This is where those of us on the board who are aware of anything that's going on in the community that we feel that other board members should be aware of, so that we can maybe be involved and attend, this is a good time to bring those things forward. So if anyone is aware of anything that the board should possibly attend, please let us know.
There's something I would like to bring up, which goes along with my job, because it is something that is not only extremely important to me, but it also is something really important with the community. Because as you all know, I happen to work at the El Dorado Correctional Facility as an instructor, as well as a GED instructor, college prep, as well as an academic advisor. We are having our graduation on June the 4th. It is going to be live streamed, and what you're going to see are members of people who are going to become, some of them are going to become very productive members of society, having made major changes in prison. And it would just mean a lot for people just to be able to tune in and see how far some of these guys have really come and how much they've really turned themselves around.
Could you send us the link?
That's what I'm going to do.
Perfect, thank you.
Because
That is
I've
great.
had, in my year working here, I've had, just found out today, another one of my guys has got his, so that is 15 guys getting their GEDs that I've worked with.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. So, and some who are
Thank
going
you
to
so
be-
much for that work that you're doing. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Hey,
thank you for that
not-
work you're doing. We did a
Not a problem, because when
tour
you
during
see,
Leadership Kansas last year, and the amount of work that's going into El Dorado Correctional Facility is truly changing our area. I do appreciate that.
and that's one of the reasons why I support so many things that this board should be doing, because these same individuals are the same, a lot of the same individuals that we have here in our community, who some make mistakes and they're trying to better themselves. And what better way to better yourself than becoming a productive member of society? So I will send the link for the event. It'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But it would be great if people can just tune in and see our guys and see me with my, I'm trying to not weep too much in front of them, but yes, it's an
It's
amazing
okay,
thing.
just
So yeah.
weep. It's a
Oh,
great thing.
I will with these, trust me.
Yeah.
Some of these, yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Ian. Does anybody else have anything?
There is the Asian night market this weekend, Saturday, 5 p.m. Sorry?
I'm sorry, I totally forgot about it. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah. And then next month, there's all of the Pride events. So the ICT Big Game Market, June 8th. And let's see what, Native Art Market at the, that's this June 7th. Native Art Market, 18 Native artists. That's at the Mid-American All-Indian Museum. And that's all I've got for now.
Jessica, the Asian Fest, was that the same thing as the Laos Fest that's happening this weekend as well?
I don't believe so. This is at the stadium, I believe.
Okay.
And
The
it's
baseball
just
stadium.
yeah, and it's an Asian night market. So
It's really cool.
It is amazing.
There's a Laos Fest this weekend as well.
Arrive
I
hungry.
believe, yeah.
Where is that going to be?
It's at that, it's, what is that, Greenwich and Pawnee area? It's just
Okay.
out to Pawnee. It's that big ornate
Oh, yeah.
temple looking place.
Mm.
The Buddhist temple down there. Yeah. I know exactly where that is.
Should be a good time.
Mhm.
All right. All right. If we don't have anything else, does anybody have any specific items to, they would like to see on the board's agenda for next month? If not, we will work on moving forward with our strategic plan discussions and hopefully maybe have a little clear direction from legal on that.
Yeah.
So that we know how we should move forward.
Madam Chair, I know that last meeting, I believe, if I recall correctly, that we had a conversation about our subcommittees. How is that rounding out in terms of the work of those?
I think
designated
at this
groups?
point, we're kind of a little bit of a pause because of the work that legal's doing, looking at our strategic plan to see if they want us to review that based on executive orders.
Understood.
And so kind of my feeling is we get that from the, from legal, any recommendations they make on any changes that they think we should discuss. And then at that point, I think then we should divide those out into the categories and then create the subcommittees, and that's where the work would start. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But all of that will be brought back to the board to be voted on. That's just my current thinking. It's just, I don't want us to start moving forward to have to take 5 steps back. So let's pause the work until we know what work we're doing, if that makes sense.
So I thought they were just reviewing our survey, but they're also reviewing.
Yes.
The survey, the strategic plan, just, they want to be comfortable that anything that comes out of this board is not going to flag anything at the federal level or bring scrutiny, from the federal level.
And jeopardize funding, yeah. So we just need to be sure that we are not duplicating work, I think. So that's the current plan.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Anything else any members of the board want to bring up? Mike? Yes.
So just a couple of things. So I actually just got notified not too long ago. Talia Penn has resigned from the board, so that's, we won't be seeing her anymore. And then just I want to introduce Jack Silvers, who is a newly appointed board member. He couldn't vote today because he hasn't been sworn in, but he did want to participate this evening or be present this evening to introduce himself and meet the rest of the board members. He is one of Hoheisel's, Councilman Hoheisel's appointees.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, definitely. We look forward to having you on board. All right, anything else? I think the email clarified, but Corey is here with us for the interim until a new person is appointed to help with the technology and the minutes side of the board. Thank you, Corey. We appreciate you taking on additional work.
Thank you, Corey.
I don't know if you were voluntold or if you volunteered, but either way, we appreciate you being here. And we promise not every month's meeting will be so politically charged in our discussions. I don't know, they may be, who knows?
Tired and grumpy. It's been a long drive.
All right, does anybody else from the board have anything to bring before the board? I quite frankly expected this discussion to take longer than it did. So I guess we are adjourning early at 6:18 PM. See you all next month.
Folks have an amazing remainder of the week.
You too.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I did not.